Terrariums are great interior accents for homes and offices. Caring for them is easy, and they are okay if left for extended periods during holidays and vacations. Enjoy this way of bringing the beauty of the natural landscape indoors. Let's get started. In order to start your terrarium, you have to pick out a container. But in order to do that, you have to understand what type of terrarium you want to make. Do you want something that emulates a desert landscape, or do you want something that looks like a more tropical rainforest? There are basically two types of terrariums that we can make, starting off with the container. One is called an open system, and the other is called a closed system. After you've chosen your container, it's going to be time to select the plants that you want to use in your terrarium. I have a selection of all different types of plants that would be appropriate for both open or closed system terrariums. We have this first selection, and this is a polka dot plant. It typically grows to a more bushy habit and is available in pink and green or white and green and provides a color splash for your terrarium. So let's take a look now at the mechanics of putting a terrarium together. A nice selection of all of these materials will help you to be creative in finishing off your terrarium project. Now it's time to plan the arrangement of the terrarium. If we have a large jar that we use for our terrarium, we know we're going to have our layer of pebbles and horticultural grade charcoal and soil. If we create a one-sided arrangement that would be against a wall, the tallest material would be towards the back of the terrarium, followed by mid-size, and then ultimately low creeping plant materials. Now that we have a plan in mind for where our terrarium is going to be placed, let's put the design together. I've added my layers of pebbles and charcoal to this cookie jar in preparation of adding my plant materials. The next thing I want to do is I want to take some of the potting soil and add a layer of this. I want to make my planter so that it is one-sided and can be displayed against a wall in an entryway of a home. I've selected some of the Selaginella for the first layer, and I think its blue-green color is just so beautiful. As you can see, it's going to trail around inside the container, and I can make a way for that so that it grows without touching the glass itself. Next up, I'm going to use this little creeping Jenny plant because it starts to provide transition towards the back of the container, and I can start to layer this then close to the spike moss, but not right on top of it, for a little bit of an extra layer. I am going to next add an African violet plant. Next, I'm going to add that right in the heart of the design like this. So as you can see, I'm building towards the taller plant that would be in the background of the terrarium. So I'm going to give this a little bit of pruning that at first seems a little too rough. But keep in mind, we can always make new plants out of these vegetative cuttings. And less is more inside a terrarium. Then I'm going to break up the root ball as I did before, help to get those roots introduced into their new environment, and tuck it into the background of the container. Very simply done. I want this terrarium to come to equilibrium indoors. So what's very important for me to do for a period of time, at least 24 hours, is to leave the lid off of the terrarium. I want to do this so all of the condensation, all of the little water droplets will evaporate from the side of the container. After they evaporate, the lid goes back on. It's very important to display this away from the window because heat energy can build inside this container and literally cook the plants. It's best to display this in a window such as a northern atmosphere, or you can display it in an eastern exposure where it is away from the window. But if it's in a southern window, you want to display it further into the room to keep it away from the strong rays of the sun. That's about all it takes to make this terrarium. And I think it's a really fun project to be able to share with your friends and your family, or to make these commercially.